Kato AT&SF 944CW, number 610, was purchased on August 28, 2018. On October 16, 2020, I was running a freight train with 610 on the lead. I had just taken the train over Raton Pass and was descending the New Mexico side. I noticed too late that the lift-out bridge had been removed, and I couldn't get the train stopped before 610 ran off the edge and landed on the concrete floor. I carefully picked up the unit and all the broken pieces I could find and placed them in a project box. On October 20th, I disassembled the unit to inspect it for damage. It appeared that the rear of the unit hit first, then the front. I believe that the initial impact of the rear truck hitting first is what split the gearbox on the rear truck and broke the steps on the rear porch. After impacting the rear truck, the unit bounced and impacted the front porch steps and pilot. I observed the following internal damage. Number one, the rear truck gearbox cracked, but it was not enough for the gears and axles to be dislodged. One of the worm gear covers had a broken tab. And number three, the metal frame was bent slightly upward at the rear. I then observed the following external damage. Number one, the bottom two steps of the crew access ladder on the fireman's side of the front porch was broken off. Number two, the bottom two steps of the crew access ladder on the fireman's side of the rear porch was broken off. The front pilot had cracked and was pushed slightly towards the rear of the fireman's side. Number four, the rear pilot cracked and broke off on one corner. Shopping online for a new shell and other parts was unsuccessful, and we decided to remove the recently installed Tsunami 2 sound decoder from 610, install it in our AT&SF C30-7, number 8057. At this point, we had to come up with a way to prevent this from ever happening again. After thinking about it, I decided to make two wooden blocks that could be inserted into a slot to prevent the trains from running off the edge. I call the wooden blocks chairs because they resemble a chair. I painted them bright red and stored them on the ledge supporting the bridge, so we will remember to install them as soon as we remove the lift-out bridge. I added rules for removing and installing the lift-out bridge in our timetable as follows. Number one, before removing the lift-out bridge, you must notify everyone who is operating a train. Number two, after notifying operators, all trains must come to a complete stop with brakes applied to prevent accidental movement of the trains. Number three, after all trains are stopped, the lift-out bridge can be removed and the chairs installed. Number 4. Trains cannot move again until the chairs are installed or the bridge is replaced. Since this system has been put in place, no other accidents have occurred. Number 1. The rear truck gear case was glued back together with CA. Number 2. The worm gear cover tab was glued back together with CA. Number 3. The bent section of the metal frame was clamped in my vise and carefully worked back to straight. Number 1. To straighten the pilot and bent step supports on the front porch, I used a heat gun on the lowest setting and gradually heated the supports to realign them. Number 2. I found the missing steps and glued them back into place with CA. Number 3. One corner of the rear pilot was broken off, but I was able to glue it back into place. Number 4. The rear porch step supports were not bent out of alignment like the front ones. Number 5. The 2 rear steps were missing, so I fabricated new ones out of styrene. Number 6. All items reattached were filed smooth and painted. Number 1. The electric motor for the unit was missing from the project tray. SD40-2 number 5058's motor failed, and I used 610's motor as a replacement. I will assemble the unit without the motor, and since we don't have a Tsunami 2 decoder for a GE at this time, we will use the model as a static display until we can replace the motor.